My husband, 43-year-old male, and I, 31-year-old female, welcomed our second child 4 months ago. With having a new baby, I'm extra cautious about germs and cleaning. This got me thinking about my husband's shower routine. He will take a shower in the morning and go off to work. He's a chemist, so mostly a desk job. But sometimes he walks outside from one building to the next. They are less than a block away. We live in humid and hot Florida, so that adds to the equation some inevitable perspiration. He's also a manager, so he deals with people all day long. I've tried to bring up the subject of him taking a quick shower when he gets home from work, or even just before bed. He says that he does not need to take another shower since he showered in the morning. I try to explain that I don't feel comfortable with him lying in bed because I lay our baby there sometimes and I feel like the bed sheets are dirty from him lying on them. Same with our comforter. Note, baby sleeps in a bassinet safely next to me, but during the day I will lay him in the bed while I do chores around him like folding laundry, etc. I realize everybody has their own routines, but I have washed my hair in the morning, showered and gone through the day. At the end of it I feel dirty, grimy and in need of a shower before bed. How can he be okay with having gone through the whole day and not feel like he should shower? I finally told him I'm not comfortable with him lying in bed dirty, so he should sleep in the guest room. I have obsessive-compulsive personality disorder, OCPD, so it's really hard for me to not have things be the way I feel they should be in my mind. In my mind, it's disgusting for him to lie in bed dirty, but what do you guys think? Am I the idiot? Edit. Okay, I apologize for my previous statement, ITP. I'm in therapy with a licensed psychologist and have regular appointments with my psychiatrist who diagnosed me with OCPD, earlier typo, sorry, and generalized anxiety disorder, so the shoe does fit. I apologize to my husband, who was understanding of my anxiety to overprotect our baby. He accepted my apology and he'll be sleeping next to me tonight, having only showered this morning. I'll talk to my therapist about this tomorrow at our appointment. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Gentle, you're the idiot. I think you're overreacting to how dirty he is. If he's only going to and from work and not doing manual labour, I don't see how he can be dirty unless he fell on the ground or someone spilled a drink on him. Seems it would be smarter to not have the baby in the bed. If you're too overcautious about germs, that can actually be bad for a child. Nor do you necessarily have to shower bathe every day, and doing so more than once a day can be bad for you. From WebMD, what happens when you shower too much? Normal skin has a protective layer of oil and a balance of good bacteria that help protect your skin from dryness and germs. If you clean it too often, especially with harsh soaps and lots of scrubbing, you can strip away this layer, leading to dry, irritated, itchy skin. This can cause cracks in the skin that allow germs and allergens to get through, resulting in skin infections or allergic reactions. In addition, your body's immune system needs some stimulation from germs, including those that live on your skin. If you scrub them away too quickly, your body doesn't have a chance to produce the antibodies that protect against them. Antibacterial soaps can actually add to this by ending the life of the natural bacterial protection against more infectious germs on the skin that are harder to treat. This can make an even bigger difference in kids as their bodies develop. That's why some pediatricians and skin doctors recommend against bathing children every day. Comment 2. Yes, you're the idiot, but I'm going to go soft on this. I'm not licensed in anything except food safety, but I can recognize misplaced anxiety and fear a mile away. I know it because I used to live it. I think it's time to look within because it may be that your anxiety is starting to affect your personal life. As a new mum, I get it. My son is 17, but I still remember his first year. Again, I'm not a therapist, but maybe ask yourself where this may be coming from, and if it's too much for you to process on your own, please find a counsellor. It helped me understand how I can't control anyone in my life under the guise of my own anxiety. I learned my triggers and how to manage them in a healthy manner. If I'm wrong, allow me to apologize. I too lived in Florida, so I understand the 2-shower-a-day thing. However, it doesn't sound like he needs one given his working environment. He's not seemingly a dirty guy. I don't think you have anything to actually worry about. The baby will be fine. Comment 3. Taking multiple showers a day is bad for your skin. If the guy is smelly and dirty, that's a different story. As for your baby, they're going to be surrounded by germs every day all the time. As someone who had a shoot immune system when I started kindergarten because I hadn't built up any immunity, Mum was a bit too careful exposing me to actual people besides immediate family. I'd recommend relaxing a bit. I was sick pretty much constantly when I was a kid because of this. I have a bunch of kids who actually had friends and exposure to people when they were little, and they have strong immune systems and don't get sick. Germs are not 100% avoidable. Came back to say, if you meant to type OCD, I suffered with it for years. You need to chill and get help if you need it, because this isn't healthy for your children. They'll pick up on your anxiety and develop dysfunctional habits. Now, for the update, things have taken a toll in the past month. My husband came down with a severe bout of pneumonia. With his line of work, dealing with people all day, he got exposed to someone with the illness, and he got very sick very fast. It was a terrifying experience. I had to rush him to the ER after he collapsed at home, struggling to breathe. Our baby was crying in the background, and it was one of the most horrifying scenes I have ever witnessed. In the hospital, he was isolated, and due to infection-19 restrictions, I couldn't even be there with him. I was at home with our child, plagued by fear and helplessness. I could only talk to him over video calls, and it was heartbreaking to see him suffering, hooked up to tubes and machines. He was in the hospital for 2 weeks. Being alone at home gave me a lot of time to reflect on things. I realized that I had been pushing him away, making him sleep in the guest room. It all seemed so trivial now. The thought that I might lose him had me re-evaluating my priorities. I felt guilty for the way I had acted, for letting my OCD control our relationship, and I was scared that I might have pushed him away for good. When he finally came home, he was weak and still needed rest. I wanted to take care of him, show him how much I loved him and how sorry I was. But he was distant. He didn't want to burden me. He chose to continue sleeping in the guest room, saying he didn't want to risk getting our baby sick. I have been trying to talk to him, to explain my feelings, but he has been evasive. I think he is still hurt and maybe scared too. I've been seeing my therapist more frequently, trying to navigate through this. It's been really hard. I wish I hadn't let my obsession rule over my actions. I wish I had shown him more understanding earlier. I miss my husband. I miss the warmth of his body next to mine in bed at night. I miss our conversations before sleep. I miss us. I just hope it's not too late to fix things. I'm learning slowly that cleanliness isn't everything, and that I allowed my fears to damage something beautiful. I'm not giving up, though. I want to fight for us, for our family. I want my husband to know that he's loved and valued. Above all, I want to make things right for our baby. I'm hopeful that with time and patience we can heal and rebuild our relationship, stronger and deeper than before. Now, for the comments. Comment 1, not the idiot. It's commendable that you're realizing and acknowledging the errors in your behavior. Self-reflection is never easy, especially when you discover things about yourself that you may not like. It's clear that your obsession with cleanliness has had a negative impact on your relationship. However, the fact that you're seeking therapy and actively working on changing, this is a huge step in the right direction. You can't control how your husband reacts to this, but it's important that you continue to communicate your feelings, your remorse, and your plans to change. Comment 2. No idiots here. I can see how your husband may feel upset and isolated after his hospital stay, especially without you by his side due to infection-19 restrictions. His need for space is understandable, given the circumstances. It's also understandable that you're feeling guilty and trying to make amends. It's great that you're seeking therapy and trying to change your behavior. However, remember that change takes time, and you can't expect him to instantly forgive and forget. Keep being patient and understanding, and give him the space and time he needs to heal. Comment 3. Not the idiot, but tread carefully. It's clear you're willing to take responsibility for your past behavior, and are actively seeking to change, which is admirable. However, you need to remember that your husband has just come out of a serious illness and could be dealing with physical and emotional trauma. His distance could be a result of that, rather than a reaction to your past behavior. Try to support him in his recovery and consider seeking professional help for him as well. The road to rebuilding your relationship will be a long one, but with patience, understanding, and professional assistance, it's definitely possible. Now, for the next story. My 20-year-old daughter lives with me, 47-year-old. She has a boyfriend, Gary, 20-year-old, who currently lives with his own parents. She lost her job over infection-19 and has felt too sad since then to look for a new one. I'm not sure if Gary has ever worked, but he doesn't now. Mostly he just sits around my house playing Xbox and eating my food. I'm not Gary's biggest fan, but my daughter loves him, so I tolerate him and have always been polite to him. About a month ago, she went missing for a little over 3 days. While she does go out a fair bit without telling me, this was a lot longer than usual. I rang her mother and messaged Gary and any of her friends I could think of, and no one had seen her. Eventually, Gary responded with a picture of a baby and "Say hello to your grandson." She had never even told my ex-wife or I that she was pregnant. For context, she's a bigger girl and had put on a couple of extra kilos over the last couple of months. While it seems obvious now in retrospect, at the time it just seemed like normal weight gain. She and Gary brought the baby back to our house sometime the next day while I was at work. When I got home, I asked her why she wouldn't tell me something like this, and she said it's because she wanted Gary to move in with us, and she knew if she'd asked before the baby was born, I would have said no, and that she and Gary need to get themselves sorted, both get jobs, and find their own place to live before the baby comes. She's probably not wrong. But if she waited until he was born, then I'd have to say yes to Gary moving in, because what kind of monster would keep their grandson from living with their father? I was so mad at her reason for hiding it that I yelled at her, saying that it was an incredibly manipulative thing for her to do, and I was too angry at the moment to give her an answer about Gary. I told her I needed time to process and think, and asked her not to talk to me for a little while. She rang her mother in tears. My ex then rang me to ask how I could be so cold and tell me that I was ruining what should be an exciting and magical time for her, my daughter Gary and myself. She said I'd look back on this in years and feel terrible that I spent the first days of my firstborn grandchild's life making everyone upset by being angry at my daughter and her boyfriend and stalling their plans to live together with the baby. I feel like I'm justified in being angry about them, intentionally trying to manipulate me. But everyone around me seems to think I don't have a valid reason for being bothered in the first place, and that I need to get over it, move on, and let them live together. Am I the idiot? Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. As much as I hate yelling "not the idiot," she likely hid her pregnancy because she thought that would forestall the shouting match. Not that the shock wouldn't feel provocative to me too. Trust me, I'd have swallowed my tongue hearing that. What she did was manipulative. You're not wrong in saying that out loud. And as much as I love my kids, I've never planned to be responsible for raising any kids they have, let alone taking an unemployed BF who is also a new parent into my home. That's a lot for anyone to expect from you. She's 20, not 14. So I tell my daughter that she and the baby I am willing to help as much as I can. But no, I'm not raising a grown-assed man named Gary. Those would be my terms. You will need a job and maybe even more schooling to show me that you're committed. That's the only way I can see myself sharing this load with you. You don't get to drop this in my lap like I had an unplanned pregnancy. And your ex can support Gary if she wants. Who are you to stop her? People always say get over it, like this is a solution to a problem. Don't listen. They are spinning their wheels and making no useful suggestions. Comment 2. If your daughter was depressed before, having a new baby is going to make it so much worse. If she was having trouble taking care of basic functions, she's going to be overwhelmed immediately. I think you should look at this as a serious cry for help. If she was already depressed, but not getting help for it, she will probably get worse. Sleep deprivation and the constant demands of taking care of a new infant when she was having trouble taking care of herself is not a good combination. Was she in denial about being pregnant? Or was the thought of doing everything too overwhelming for her, so she just did nothing until the baby was here and now she had to react? She needs help and close monitoring, and so does your grandchild. She needs to be screened for postpartum depression, and you should educate yourself about it and watch for signs. You may have to parent your 20-year-old for a while, but she and the baby are lucky to have you. Don't just give up and say, not my problem. Comment 3. Wow. Just wow. It's not often people admit their manipulation right to your face like that. Wait until you find out they were trying for the baby and it wasn't an accident, because I'd bet money that's coming. Can they move in with Mum? Sounds like she's just itching to have them. Or move into Gary's parents' house. Not the idiot. Having that news all dropped on you at once is huge. If there's no other place for your daughter to go, I do hope you let her stay though, for the baby's sake. But I'd tell her no overnights with Gary. If she wants to be a happy family with him, they should have gotten jobs years ago, but at the very least, Gary needs to get his act together now and get one so they can rent their own happy family home eventually. Now for the update. It's been a rough month to say the least. Gary moved in despite my reservations, and it soon became clear why my daughter hid him from me. He's immature, disrespectful, and doesn't contribute to the household. He's constantly playing video games instead of looking for a job or helping with the baby. I tried to talk to him about it several times, but he just brushed me off. My daughter, on the other hand, is in deep denial. She's still jobless and is completely overwhelmed by the baby. She spends most of her time caring for him, which I understand, but she's not even trying to find a job. When I bring it up, she accuses me of being unsympathetic and harsh. It's as if she's forgotten that they need to provide for their child. Health-wise, the baby is doing fine, but emotionally I worry about the environment he's growing up in. The tension in the house is palpable, and it's devastating to watch my own flesh and blood be so lost in this mess. I contacted my ex, hoping she could talk some sense into our daughter, but she just reiterated that I was overreacting. I feel like I'm the only one who understands the gravity of the situation. To make matters worse, I lost my job 2 weeks ago. Now I'm stuck at home dealing with the chaos. My savings are running out and I'm starting to feel the pressure. I'm wondering if I made a mistake by letting them move in. It's been a month of stress, sleepless nights and endless arguments. I tried to do what I thought was best for my daughter and grandchild, but now I'm questioning if I've really done the right thing. I look at my grandson and it's heartbreaking to think of the life he's been born into. I just don't know what to do anymore. Now, for the comments. Comment 1. Not the idiot. First off, it's entirely reasonable for you to be worried about the environment your grandchild is growing up in. Kids need stability and responsible role models, and it doesn't sound like Gary or your daughter are currently in a position to provide that. It's understandable that you're frustrated by their lack of effort in finding employment and contributing to the household. However, it's important to remember that as adults, they are responsible for their own actions. While it's natural to want to step in and fix everything, that might not be what's best for them in the long run. They need to learn to stand on their own 2 feet. Comment 2. Not the idiot, but it's important to approach this situation delicately. You have every right to be concerned about your grandchild and the living conditions they're in. It might be worth having a clear, open discussion with your daughter and Gary about your concerns. Set clear boundaries and expectations if they're going to continue living with you. For example, they should be actively seeking employment and contributing to household chores. It's not unreasonable to expect them to contribute if they're living in your house. However, remember that you can't force them to change. They must want to do it themselves. Comment 3. Not the idiot. This is a tough situation to be in, and in no way are you the jerk for feeling overwhelmed. It's crucial for the well-being of your grandchild that your daughter and Gary step up and take responsibility. Although it's a hard pill to swallow, they are adults and need to start acting like it. It may be beneficial to seek professional advice on how to handle this situation. There are social workers and family therapists who can provide guidance. It may also be helpful to find support groups for grandparents in similar situations. Remember, it's okay to prioritize your own needs too. You shouldn't have to sacrifice your own well-being for the sake of others. Now, for the next story. Throwaway account. My pregnant wife, our first, messaged me at the end of my work shift that she had sudden cravings for cake, and I was more than happy to get her one. Unfortunately, as this was close to 6 p.m, the bakery only had a Swiss roll left in terms of cake. As I was selecting a few other breads, a mother and her daughter came in, and the girl noticed the Swiss roll in the display cabinet and shouted that she wanted it. However, I had already ordered it, and when the worker took it out for me, the girl started screaming and crying. The mother did initially ask if I could leave the roll for her, but I said that I ordered first. She then began getting extremely demanding, saying that I didn't need to eat it. Can't you feel for a kid? How selfish, etc. It only stopped when the worker said that I had come first and ordered it before the mother and daughter had even walked in. I got home and told my wife about the incident. She said that I was a bit of a jerk for not giving up the cake for the kid, and that she would have understood if the store had no more since I did buy other sweetbreads, or I could have gone to the supermarket instead. She also asked why I didn't tell the mother that I was buying it for a pregnant wife with cravings. I didn't see the need to share private info, but my wife said that maybe the mother would have understood, and that I appeared to be insensitive by sticking to ordering first as my argument. We did end up enjoying the Swiss roll, and she told me not to worry and just be more mindful next time. But I can't help but feel a bit guilty. Was I the jerk for denying a kid a cake she wanted? Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Holy crap, everyone in this scenario except you and the bakery employee sucks butt, including your wife. The girl started screaming and crying. The girl sucks. She then began getting extremely demanding, saying that I didn't need to eat it. Can't you feel for a kid? How selfish, etc. The mum sucks. My wife, the incident. She said that I was a bit of a jerk for not giving up the cake for the kid. Your wife sucks. I could have gone to the supermarket instead. Your wife sucks. Just be more mindful next time. Your wife sucks. Comment 2. Not the idiot. The mother needs to work on helping her child deal appropriately with disappointments and problem solving. The child was disappointed about not getting the Swiss roll and naturally became upset. But there are ways to soothe and even problem solve after realizing the cake was already spoken for. The mother arguing about the cake sets a negative example for her child. She could have told her child the cake is already sold and asked her, "Do you want something else here, or do you want to wait and have a treat another time?" Comment 3. Not the idiot you were getting your pregnant wife something for a craving. I can tell you that I did a ton of driving and impromptu runs during both pregnancies when my wife had cravings. I did it because I wanted to and knew it would make her happy. I may be being petty here, but your wife is kind of an AH for calling you kind of an AH when you were making a run for her. It isn't like you were nasty to the kid or anything like that. Now for the update. The Swiss roll incident had pricked at my conscience, but I assumed life would move on and that was the end of the story. I was wrong. 2 weeks later, I was out grocery shopping when I bumped into the same mother and daughter duo from the bakery. I instinctively tried to avoid them, but our paths crossed in the cereal aisle. The mum recognised me and gave a weak smile. I acknowledged her with a nod and was about to move on when she stopped me. She told me her name was Julie and her daughter's name was Sophie. Sophie, she explained, was battling leukemia and was having a difficult time. The Swiss roll was one of the few foods she still had an appetite for, and it often brought a smile to her face on her toughest days. Julie didn't blame me for what happened at the bakery. She said she understood that I had no idea about the circumstances, and that in my place she might have done the same. I stood there stunned. I felt my heart descend into my stomach. I apologized profusely and wished them the best before leaving the store in a daze. Less than a week later, I learned from a mutual acquaintance that Sophie had passed away. It hit me like a punch to the gut. I couldn't help but remember our encounter at the bakery and the pain in Julie's eyes as she shared their story. I still see Julie from time to time, usually at the grocery store. She's always alone now, and there's a sadness in her eyes that I can't shake off. In retrospect, I realise that our actions, no matter how trivial they may seem, can carry weight beyond our understanding. I can't help but think that if I had just given up the Swiss roll, Sophie might have had one more moment of joy before she passed. My wife and I still talk about it. She doesn't blame me, but I know she's disappointed. We've since had our baby, a beautiful girl, but even this joy is tinged with guilt and regret. I can't help but think of Sophie and the joy she was denied over something so small. Every time I walk past a bakery now, I remember the Swiss roll. It's become a symbol of my guilt, a reminder of the pain of a child I barely knew. I'm not sure I'll ever be able to enjoy a Swiss roll again, and honestly I don't think I want to. Now for the comments. Comment 1. Not the idiot. While it's definitely a heart-wrenching story and I can understand why you feel guilt, you had no way of knowing about Sophie's condition or how much the Swiss roll meant to her at the time. You were simply a customer at a bakery buying a pastry. It's not like you intentionally took the last Swiss roll knowing that it was Sophie's favourite. It is tragic what happened to Sophie and how it affected Julie, but you cannot carry the weight of the world on your shoulders. It's unfortunate, but life is full of these small moments of chance and coincidence that can lead to larger consequences. It's important to remember that you didn't do anything wrong, and it's not healthy to blame yourself for an unfortunate coincidence. Comment 2. Not the idiot. But this should serve as a reminder that our actions, no matter how seemingly insignificant, can have far-reaching effects. It's not about guilt or blame, but about understanding the importance of empathy and kindness. While you couldn't have known about Sophie's situation, this experience should make you more conscious of how we interact with the world around us. However, it's also crucial to not let this guilt consume you. You did nothing wrong. And it's important to remember that while we should strive to be aware of our actions, we can't predict every outcome. Comment 3. Not the idiot, but it sounds like you're dealing with an immense amount of guilt, and it may be beneficial to speak to a professional about these feelings. It's completely normal to feel some level of remorse in a situation like this, but it's not healthy to let it dominate your life to the point where it's affecting moments of joy like the birth of your child. It's clear that you're a compassionate person who deeply cares about the impact of their actions on others, but it's crucial to also remember to be kind to yourself. Grief and guilt can be complicated emotions to navigate, especially in such a tragic situation. But it's important to remember that you didn't cause Sophie's illness, and you didn't intentionally cause any harm. If you liked this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day!